My stepmom and I, 21, have had something of an awkward relationship since she married my dad. They got married right after I turned 9. She had a daughter the same age who she had custody of. My stepmom thought she was going to adopt me, which I didn't want, and has always struggled with not being mom in my eyes. It's not that I don't care about her or appreciate what she has done. But being adopted and calling her mom never felt right to me. This has always made her feel rejected. Her daughter and I also had issues since day one, because when my dad and stepmom moved in together they asked if we wanted to share a room or have our own rooms. She wanted to share, and I wanted to keep my own room, which ultimately was allowed, but she was always hurt by it and she feels like I don't appreciate her mom enough. She also blames me for not getting the picture-perfect family she always wanted to be a part of. Like her mom, she thought we would be one united family unit and the step would be dropped, but I never did get to that point. So here's the story. I had my daughter in June, and because I live more than 12 hours from my dad and his family, they didn't get to meet her until the start of the month when they came for a visit. My stepmom and stepsister, 21, were making comments the whole time about my daughter's name because I named my daughter after my late mom. It annoyed me the first day, but I just rolled my eyes. By day 2 I was tired of it, and by the end of their week visiting and explaining why it was hurtful to keep bringing it up, I snapped. My stepmom said it was hard being reminded that she's not my real mom and I don't love her the same as my mom, and being grandmother to a child who carries the name of the mom I truly love is not easy to process. So I told her I didn't ask her to be grandma if it's that hard for her. She was upset. Her daughter called me an idiot and said her mom was more of a mom to me than my mom was since my mom died when I was 7, and the least I could do was let her vent about it. I told her they had no right to try and shame me for naming my daughter after my mom, and I told them to leave. My dad was upset when he learned what went down. He said he understood I was annoyed, but what I said was a low blow and very cruel. He said we both needed to apologize to each other. Am I the idiot? You didn't choose this family. You didn't choose your stepmother or her daughter. I think it's lovely that you named your baby after your mother. Not the idiot. I'm actually more pissed that your dad apparently just allowed this to happen and thinks both sides are wrong. I hate to say it, but I'd hit that no contact order hella fast after my stepmom berated my child's name. She's not my mother, love her to bits, don't get me wrong, but screw that noise of thinking you could replace someone just by being married. Sure, years down the line between stepmom and mom may blur, but you're not showing one sign of her wanting anything to do with you outside of her idea of a picture-perfect marriage. You have your child now, she's got priority to anyone else's feelings, within reason. If she's going to feel hated for a name that, I'm making a guess here, means the absolute world to you, she definitely has some issues she needs to work out. You chose to be yourself, well, she's choosing you to be her daughter without your input. Not the idiot, it's your mother. You can do whatever you like with your child that you named after your mother. How tone deaf can they be? It's not like you didn't have a relationship with your mother, you had a very strong bond, and death doesn't diminish that. I think it's awesome you named the baby after her, it's a beautiful way of honoring her. Don't let them tear you down. Husband of almost 20 years cheated on me. He was sleeping around and got a girl who was 15 years younger than him pregnant. I left him when I found out. We have 2 kids, 12 and 11. They know how to do math. My girls are not stupid. Mom and dad break up and they have a new mom and new baby brother 4 months later. I have not connected any dots for them, nor do I badmouth their father to them. Our custody agreement is they go to his house 2 weekends a month and stay with me the rest of the time. The girls don't like going to their father's house. I tell them they should go and spend quality time with their dad. They tell me they're always asked to change diapers. I brought it up to the ex that it's not my girl's job to do that. They said their stepmom gets mad when they don't want to look after new kid and change diapers. My ex has a 3-bedroom house, but my girls sleep in a room in the basement. They don't like that they can't relax on weekends, they say their stepmom isn't the nicest. Last weekend my younger one got her period and they didn't have pads. Usually the older one keeps pads in her bag, but didn't refill her bag since last time she had her period. She asked her dad for pads for her little sister. Ex told her to ask stepmom. Older daughter said she didn't want to, so she texted me and I drove over and brought her pads. My ex is pissed because I encroached on his time with the girls. I literally dropped pads and some treats, hugged my girls and made sure the little one was okay, and said we will talk more tomorrow and call me if she needs anything, and I should have told my oldest to just ask her stepmom. I said, I can't force my daughter to feel comfortable with her, I can't manufacture it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to tell my girls to have a relationship with their stepmom. I said this in private, not in front of the girls. Like I said, I don't badmouth them in front of my kids. Having a relationship with their dad is important, so I'm not going to jeopardize that because their dad messed up. Am I the idiot because I'm not trying to make their relationship better? It's not my job. My girls are smart, have minds of their own. They never heard it from my mouth that their dad cheated on me, but I don't think they're stupid, they probably have some idea. Not the idiot, even a little bit, but I can tell you from experience that they will be a lot happier if you give them permission to like her. Chances they are stressing their little heads off whether you see it or not, and if you give them permission to be okay with her, it would alleviate a lot of the stress. They may still choose to hate her stupid face, but they will be making that choice for themselves and not for your honor. All they really need to do is be civil with her. Too much happened way too quickly, and your ex is being quite unreasonable in thinking that your daughters are going to be lovey-dovey with his new girlfriend whom he cheated on their mother with and is roping them into servitude for a baby they weren't prepared for, and that symbolizes the family trauma. It doesn't sound like he or his girlfriend are doing very much to try to cultivate a healthy relationship. As long as you aren't doing or saying things to sow negativity and are encouraging civility, you're fine in my opinion. I totally think you're in the right. No one should be forced to like someone. If they don't get along with their stepmom, then forcing them to would probably make them resent you too. Also, why wouldn't their father buy the youngest pads? Does he have a reason? This may just be me having grown up with a single mother, but pads aren't that bad. Anyway, you seem to be an amazing mother. I am 17, and my stepsister, who I'll call Sarah, is 12. My stepmom, who I'll call Charlotte, is 34 and my dad, John, is 42. My dad married Charlotte 2 years ago, after dating for a little over a year. They met at my dad's work, and I was happy for my dad because he was finally healing and moving after my mom. My mom passed when I was 2 due to health complications, and it took him a long time to finally look for love again. However, Charlotte, for the first 3 years of them being together, treated me like a total stranger. And no, that's not just me exaggerating things in my head because I was angry at the situation. I didn't know my mom, so I was welcoming to the idea of having a mother figure in my life. But Charlotte made it very clear she did not want me as a daughter, and she was there for my dad only. Not only that, but her thinking made its way to Sarah. Slowly over time she started being colder and colder to me until she would barely even look at me at events. At their wedding, Sarah was a bridesmaid. I sat in the crowd. This was Charlotte's idea because she wanted all of her bridesmaids to have blonde hair and I'm a brunette, so I didn't fit her aesthetic. When introducing me to her family, Charlotte called me John's kid and never referred to me as her stepdaughter. While I was away at my friend's house last year, they got family photos taken. Just my dad, Charlotte, Sarah, and Sarah's dog. They literally value the dog more than me. But I finally snapped last week when my dad asked me to go to dinner with just him and Charlotte. It was a semi-fancy restaurant, but Charlotte proceeded to get drunk and spew nonsense about how my dad got a huge upgrade from my mom. With her. I stood up and said, very calmly, I hope my existence serves as a constant reminder that my dad has loved someone more than he loves you now, and you'll never live up to it. Now my dad is super mad at me, and Charlotte is in hysterics 24/7. Yesterday she called me awful and I promptly flipped her off. Am I being too harsh? I totally get why you went for the jugular. She's never accepted you, she's treating you like a competition for affection with your father because you are a constant reminder that he was married to someone else, and the crack about her being an upgrade is just absolutely unreal. His wife died, your mother died, what a self-centered, narcissistic, ego-inducing rant. I for one think she deserved it. She can call you awful, but she has been awful from the start. As a fully grown woman, there are zero excuses for treating your stepchildren like that. None. I can't believe your dad let them treat you like this. He's just as culpable, if not worse than Charlotte and Sarah. He stood on that altar and said I do to a woman who excluded you because of your hair color. Most of your anger seems directed at Charlotte, and it's well deserved, but your dad needs some of that same smoke because you're his child and he married someone who openly abuses you and let them do that unchecked. I am usually a non-conflictual person and try to defuse conflicts. Normally I would say that was mean and not helping, but in this case screw the idiot Charlotte, she deserved it and more. Your dad also needs to get his head out of his butt. He is also an idiot in this story for letting Charlotte treating you like that and not stepping up for you. Doesn't sound like this is a situation where you could ever get a good relationship with Charlotte because of her, so why bother walking on eggshells with her? Good for you for standing up for yourself, and that certainly does not make you the idiot in this situation. The adults who are supposed to look after you are the idiots. Long story short, I graduated college in May, but because of work and other stuff didn't really celebrate. My family wanted to do something fun to celebrate, even if it's late, so we decided to plan to go to dinner next Saturday. My sister and I basically came up with the idea and my mom agreed. Well, I called to invite my dad and stepmom and he said, well Beth, stepmom, has to work Saturday, but will come after she gets off. Thing is, since my dad has been with Beth 15 years, he comes to family stuff hours late because he refuses to drive separately. They live 20 minutes away, so he waits for her to get off work. It used to cause me being late to holidays etc. too when I was a kid, since I obviously couldn't drive myself. When I could drive myself and got there way before him, I'd have to explain where he was. My stepmom makes her own work schedule and chooses to work all holidays and most weekends, so it's not even like we could push it to a different Saturday or even a Sunday. When I graduated high school, we had a party by my grandparents' house, dad's parents. It started like 12ish, he didn't show up till 6-7 o'clock. I had people asking me where he was repeatedly for hours before he showed up, even made me call him. The party was basically over by the time he got there, and tbh I wanted to go home because I was tired, but my grandma said to me before he got there, you have to stay a while after your dad gets here because it's rude to leave before your guests. That all went through my head when he said Beth had to work, and I said, well, if she has to work then just don't come, because I know you won't come alone or in separate vehicles, and I don't want to spend the night being forced to wait around for you. I know other people in my family would make us wait till he gets there to order or anything, or he'd get there and we'd be done eating because Beth works till 8 p.m, which means it'd be at least 9 by the time they got there. He said that I was acting childish and being part of a family means making compromises. When I'm married I'll understand. Thing is, I'm almost positive that if my SO had to work when I had a family thing, I'd either 1 have them meet me there or 2 go without them. Am I the idiot for telling my dad not to come if my stepmom has to work? Not the idiot. It sounds a lot like your dad should be politely declining invitations when he does not intend to show up until half the day later. It is a bit rich for him to call you childish when he is sauntering into event several hours late, as if that isn't a rude and disruptive way to behave. However, you probably should have looped your mom and sister in before unilaterally attempting to uninvite your dad. Not the idiot, however, I may suggest in the future not disinviting him because that lets him play the victim, but instead being very clear that the time is a set thing and no one will be waiting for him or anyone else who comes late. If he would like to eat or celebrate with the family, he needs to be there on time, otherwise, if he's late he risks missing most of it. It sounds like some sort of control issue that Beth won't let him come over by himself. But that's not your problem. Set your boundaries, set your times, and he is an adult who needs to figure out how to make it work, or he misses out. Your dad is repeatedly choosing her over you. It's time to stop inviting him, since he keeps showing you nothing but disrespect. I have a sister who is always late, never on time. Our mom finally started to tell her a couple hours before we would all meet up, just so she would be on time. Once she finally figured it out, she made sure to be on time. He can show up on time either with or without her, or he stays home altogether. My 33 stepmother had a clandestine abortion in her youth and had severe complications, which left her infertile. When she married my father, she immediately came to see me and my siblings as her children, being very pushy and invasive and wanting to outdo our mother, who is alive and present in our lives. Even when we were kids, the situation made us uncomfortable, and her obsession with motherhood and being our only mother scared us and drove us away completely. My father, wanting her to be happy, started trying to force us to call her mommy. Eventually, our mom got our custody and we moved across the country. Over the years and the physical distance, my relationship with them became more tolerable. There were occasional problems, such as the fact that she wanted to be mentioned as a mother in the wedding invitations, or when she tried to adopt my niece after my sister-in-law's death, declaring that my brother was unable to raise his daughter. Before the pandemic, she and my father moved to my state, something common for retirees. She started posting photos of my ultrasounds and baby clothes with captions like, "Looking forward to my baby's arrival," or "At last entering the journey of motherhood." I scolded her and demanded that she delete the posts. And then the physical harassment began. As we live in the same condominium, she started to come to my house several times a day to check me, fight with me about what I ate, and set up a complete nursery in her house, telling me that the baby would need to spend the first few days with someone more experienced to take care of him. When we found out it was a girl, she immediately started saying that finally her Christina would come and how her dream would finally come true. I immediately denied that this would be my daughter's name and made it clear that she would not be a mother figure to my baby. My stepmother then reminded me that a lot can happen during childbirth and that it was better that my SO and I understood that she and my father were prepared for any eventuality. And that I couldn't be cruel and deny her the closest thing she'd ever have to a daughter since I didn't accept being her daughter. After that and other comments and actions, my husband and I decided to take some action in case she tried something. And now, 3 months after my baby was born, my father refuses to visit his granddaughter, even though we live close together, as I don't allow his wife to play mother and daughter with her. I understand that she has frustrated maternal instincts, but my daughter is not a replacement baby. So, am I wrong? Not the idiot. Honestly, she sounds crazy. Like grab your baby in the middle of the night and run off crazy. Why didn't she adopt or foster if she wanted kids that bad? You shouldn't let her anywhere near y'all without some serious therapy. And never around the baby without you or your husband being present the entire time. I know your dad wants to make his wife happy, but he's an idiot here. He's majorly enabling her and not thinking about anyone else. There are times when I think it's important to be kind to people who have this kind of painful parental yearning. If she were gently asking for you to dress your child in the outfit she once purchased for her own baby or something, maybe. But if she were that reasonable, I imagine she'd never have insisted on being called mommy, and this whole mess would never have happened. And now you have a woman who celebrated your impending delivery by basically saying, "Hopefully you'll just die and I'll snag me a baby." If you haven't already, make sure you have a will that specifies a guardian and backup guardian for your kid. As long as they agree, it usually holds up in most jurisdictions. If, God forbid, anything ever happened to you, you don't want her raising anyone. She is frankly not stable enough to work in a daycare. It's terrible that your stepmother never got to have biological children of her own, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say that an abortion being at the center of her struggles is probably adding to her current mindset. As empathetic as anyone should be towards her, it's ghoulish creepy that she seems to be actively preparing for the premature death of you and your partner so she can have another shot at a kid. Please talk to your father about finding counseling for her. This isn't okay behavior, and I'm hoping at some level your dad realizes that.